Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, the interesting question, I think for everyone I think that's ever been in a human body, that's ever lived on Earth, is what am I here to do? What is my destiny? What is my path on this life? How can I really achieve a true sense of peace and happiness? How can I, as we say a lot, feel love and share it? How can we come into that realization, that recognition, that understanding, that experience over and over again, or enough for us to recognize that in essence, that's the purpose of our life, is to come into that knowing, to come into that recognition, to be one with love, to be one with each other, to be in an experience of unconditional love, of the infinite, of inclusiveness, of what we call the oneness. That's why every one of these bridging shows is somewhere on it, on the opening, the closing, on all the flyers we do, on every page of the websites usually is dedicated to the oneness, to that experience that we as human beings, you know, maybe not every minute of every day, maybe not in the busyness of our lives, maybe not even for a lot of us on a consistent basis, but somewhere, sometime, in the depths of our being, in the middle of the night or at some point, we recognize that yes, in fact, there is this unconditional love, this thing we call God. Why are so many people throughout history involved in one way or another in something that we call religion or spiritual or something, to know that truth? Now, whether one religion or another religion is the way to best experience that, you know, that's up for different people's experience and different people's interpretations. But for us here at Bridging, there is an experience that we can have that doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a country, it doesn't have a religion, it doesn't have a sexual preference, it doesn't have an age, it doesn't have, all it has is an experience of unconditional love, of our connectedness, of the beauty of being in a human body, the glory, the joy, the blessedness, how fortunate we are to have come into this life, into this body, on this glorious planet Earth, to in a simple sense, feel love and share it. To in a simple sense, come into the recognition of who and what we really are. which is in essence God, which in essence is that one energy, that oneness, that truth. And day after day, as we pursue whatever we pursue in this life, there's that calling, that inner hunger, that inner desire to know our destiny, to how we can best serve that love. How can we best use the time and attention of this life to feel that love and share it, to come into that recognition so clearly as the masters and the mistresses and however you would look at those people who had that experience. That the goddess and I, the Father and I are one. There is a one. There is one. And nothing can be outside of that, and nothing can be excluded from that. And that's why we talk so much about the energies of the infinite and inclusiveness. Because what in a human life feels worse than being excluded and feeling small and finite? In this knowing, in this sense that there's something extraordinary and vast and what we really are. That vastness, that oneness is alive within us in a sense, and sometimes we don't recognize it. But as we see it here, is now's the time for all of us to more and more, on a more consistent basis, and to come in as the masters, as the teachers throughout history have experienced, that energy and I are one. And so we identify with that and all the other things that seemingly separate us, seemingly are different, are so small in compared to that infinite, in compared to that inclusiveness. And the way we look at it is just we are so blessed and fortunate to be able to come together, to share that in creativity and collaboration on television shows, the internet, the art projects, workshops, activations, all the things that we as humans can come together to do, to feel that love and share it, to enliven that spark of the knowing of who and what we are. So again, people from all over the world come here to share their gifts and their experiences and the power of their lives in coming into that knowing and that recognition that they and oneness and love are one. Lilyana, Bethanee, and Nohlan Matthew, they've been on a path of life, love, and spiritual expansion for many, many years. They were originally artists and writers and publishers who had a severe auto accident in 1992, and that basically changed their lives forever, dramatically. They encountered a group of ascended spiritual masters, later to be known as the Council of the Seventh Awakening. And since that time, they've been coming into the recognition of that and the information given and the vibrations and the activations given by this council to feel the love and share it, to bring us more into an experience, a realization of vibration and energy of our oneness, which is the truth at the root, at the heart of what it is to be a human being. And they've dedicated their lives to the upliftment of awakening humankind to their greatest divine potential. And they literally lead workshops and activations and sound gong healings all over the world, just to be fulfilling their destiny of raising that vibration, of bringing people into the experience of the infinite, of inclusiveness, of unconditional love. And it's really a great honor. They run a mystery school up in Carmel that we've been to, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place and energy and a healing center really for all over the world. Because where does energy stop? Does it stop at Carmel? Does it stop at the ocean? When that energy goes out, it's for everybody. And as most of you know, we are in the middle of an international healing art project that came as a dream, it came as a vision, that anybody who produces a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth will use the bridging distribution system and get that energy, that vibration of these healing art pieces out all over the world, that anybody who produces a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, any size, any format, any skill level, any age, and we've received literally over 450 pieces, collages and acrylics, oils, sculptures, glass, fused glass, stained glass, jewelry from all over the world, incredible wood sculptures, just incredible pieces of healing art that people have sent in from all over the world. I mean, literally, if you want to be inspired, go to Heaven to Earth Art, heavento-earth.com, and go page after page after page. Literally, you will see over 450 pieces of already manifested healing art of all different sizes, shapes, colors, from collaborator artists from all over the world from the age of 2 to 92. It is so unbelievably beautiful and inspiring that anybody who wants to, if you're having a bad day, go. It will pick you up. If you're having a good day, it will enliven that day. All new original pieces based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth. So tonight we have 2 beautiful pieces. Maddie Berglund has done this incredible piece, Sacred Council. Maddie has done 4 pieces in total. So if you go to the website, Heaven to Earth Art, and look up Maddie Berglund, they're in alphabetical order by first letter, so it'll be under M for Maddie. And you'll see the 4 incredible pieces. And tonight she's done one called A Sacred Council. Her website is mattieberglund.com, MATTIBERGLUND, mattieberglund.com. And we have another piece from one of the Bridging family, the Bridging crew members, 15-year-old Cameron Childs. He has also done 2 other pieces for a total of 3 in all. If you want to see some incredible growth and work and art and healing, Cameron Childs, again, go to the artist page, look up Cameron Childs Under Sea, and you'll see 3 pieces. He did this incredible sculpture, mixed media, clay piece called Flora. It's his own design. It took him a really long time to do it. He put a lot of time and energy in, so those are the 2 pieces we'll see tonight. And also, as most of you know, where we also show some incredible art music videos on every show. We try to, bring different energies and different spokes of that oneness out. And tonight, Nohlan and Lily have done 2 beautiful healing gong art pieces of crystal. So they've done 2 beautiful videos. So we'll see those in 2 different sections tonight. And again, it's an opportunity for us to enliven that recognition, that experience, that knowing of that the Goddess, the Father, and I are one, that we are one, that there is a oneness, that the energy of the infinite, of inclusiveness, of unconditional love is what we're here to experience, what we really are. And once we start to have that experience, and once we have it more and more, our lives are completely different. And this whole planet can be a Garden of Eden if more and more of us experience that. So join me in a short meditation, then we'll have the first Nohlan video, and Nohlan and Lily, and art and music and beauty. So join me in a short meditation. Oh, that was lovely. Okay, so we're going to show the first Nohlan and Lilyana healing gong, music, crystal, just beautiful video. It's very lovely. Settle in. We have an amazing 50 minutes left for you. So enjoy. So welcome back. That was a beautiful video, that healing gong music crystal video by Nohlan and Lilyana. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very happy to be here.
It's great to have you. So the incredible piece of art that's in between Lilyana, Nohlan, and I was done again by Maddie Berglund. She's a Santa Barbara artist, an extraordinary artist. She's done 4 pieces for the International Healing Art Project. It's called Sacred Council. It's an oil on canvas. Again, go to the Heaven to Earth Art website, look up Maddie Berglund, see the incredible 4 pieces she's done. She's an amazing artist. And her art just has a beautiful energy of healing and love. So welcome again. It's so great to have you.
Thanks to you and Bianca for inviting us.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it? So when we came up to meet you guys in Carmel, and we came to your mystery school, and tell us how that began. And I mentioned something about early on there was that severe auto accident. So Lilyana, why don't you start, and then Nohlan will pick up from there.
Well, to just kind of give you just a short history, we were magazine publishers, and we worked with chambers of commerce and mayors all over, putting out these community profile magazines that would tell you why you wanted to live there. And at that point, that's when the accident occurred. And I think one of the most profound changes for me is that I was Southern Baptist before the accident, and I came back not religious, but extremely spiritual. And it gave me the ability to start following my spirit without much hesitation, now without any, but at the start there was still some hesitation, because it's almost like your higher self has to prove that it's trustworthy to your left brain, because the left brain doesn't know what trustworthy is. It doesn't trust itself, and it definitely doesn't trust anyone else. So I kind of look at it like that death passage was the most incredible, wonderful thing that ever happened to me, because it saved me decades of trying to stumble through and find what my truth was. It showed me my truth right then, and it challenged me to come back into my physical body and start doing my truth, being who I was. And the guidance that they gave me was be authentic. And you know, that seemed like just one little word, but then as the decades went on that I was doing it, I saw that it was the word. Because when you're authentic, there's no pretense. Whatever anyone sees is exactly who you see in yourself. And when you change, they'll see that person that changes. So there's no hiding and barriers as much as we were trained that's how the world was supposed to be.
We had only 2 exposures to this phenomenon called channeling prior to this, and Lily was basically connected with the immortal Babaji. He came through and did vocal tones known as the Ham Sa, like the first breath and then last breath, and it expanded her in such a manner that she was allowed to bring them through, and that freaked her out, being Southern Baptist from Missouri, the Show Me State.
The work of the devil.
Yes.
Yeah, well, perhaps, yeah.
No, back then, right.
Sure.
No,
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, she was not the likely candidate for it. But it went through, and at the accident, she crossed over the death passage 3 times. And because of my early experiences with conscious astral projection, I was able to go and kind of fetch her back through the tunnel twice. And then the 3rd time, she was gone. So just had to wait. And she was over there having a consultation with the master beings. And they gave her the option of staying there and in this place of bliss, or coming back and being of service at a critical time in mankind's journey.
Yeah, doing something that absolutely scared me to death, thinking about doing.
What was that you...
Channeling.
Channeling.
Because Babaji had touched me before then. And I tried it, and then it freaked me out, because you have to totally give up everything and allow some being that you can't even see most of the time come in and operate your body. So all your self-preservation instincts come up instantly. And every time you astral project, which is how you get out of your body, there is that little bit of a death passage. I don't have it really anymore unless I'm in an unusual situation. But for the first, I don't know, at least decade, it was always there. So every time you sat down to channel, there was always this performance anxiety because you didn't know if you were going to be able to get out of the way to let that message and that being come through.
Clearly and purely as you wanted it to come.
Or at all.
Or at all,
Right.
you know, because I don't do conscious channeling. So it's either it's the whole thing or it's nothing. So, you know, you sit there and there's, 50, 60 people waiting for someone else. And my fear was always, well, they're not here, I'm sorry.
That's what would
Yeah.
happen.
So I always would attract that then, wouldn't I? Like people in the audience who would have Velcro or they would crunch bottles because unusual sounds or smells signal your physical body, no matter how far out you are, to come back in because it says, danger, Will Robinson.
So why don't you walk us through, so the accident happened, you came into the presence of the council, and how did you unfold and get us to this mystery school and activations, and walk us through the process a little, Nohlan.
Well, it was a rather intense, powerful collision that we had, and I was the driver, and I just recalled crossing my arms and telling everyone to hold on. This guy was fishtailing, so it was a totally black wall that we were coming up to at high speed. Suddenly, when the impact occurred, a bright light burst. It was like daylight to me. The others were going through their own experiences. Our friend was in the front seat who basically smashed almost out the windshield. He suffered a pretty good impact. Lily was in the back seat, and she had
The
her own
safest
type of padded experience she did. But me, I just crossed my arms and I went into this sort of a marshmallow experience. I was just surrounded in like down comforter. So I wasn't intended to go through anything. I was told later that was my good karma. Saved me and spared me the intensity that night. So that was the thing. I visualized, I saw a white pickup truck, and they used jokes like that, picking up, taking me out of harm's way type of thing. And suddenly it vanished, and the car was gone too that we struck into. And we were black. It's night again, and Lily was starting her passages. She was surprised to find that she was in a bit of a critical state. And then pretty soon we had people, we were coming from a channeling session. That was, I believe, our second exposure, maybe third. And that was odd. So all these people that were in attendance there converged on the scene. And then suddenly these two males started administering hands-on healing work to Lily, who had broken her ankle and wedged in the back seat like that. And she started recognizing them from the autobiography of a yogi, the master Lahiri Mahasai. And he's difficult to think he's anyone else. He's the lion kind of guy, right? And he and Babaji were doing hands-on work to her. Yeah, so then the ambulance arrived, the HP highway patrolmen were there. I was talking to them, and I always felt that each time that she started slipping away.
Well, to answer your question, what happened after that point was, and we're doing a big workshop here in Santa Barbara, and just a couple of days ago, right before we left, and a couple of days ago, the council asked me to take the original channeling, which was all automatic writing, done at 6:30 in the morning, with no lights on and earplugs in, and it comes through, you hit it to print, you read it. It's that thick, and it's all single-spaced, old computer pages. Before you could put the space in between everything that you wanted. It's just dot matrix. So I just got through reading the first page of this, and I have to say, I might have read this page once before this time. But this is all the way from 1991, and it was exactly 8 days after the accident. And the 8 is all about self-love. And when you were talking in the beginning and you were talking about the most important thing is finding out what our destiny is, I totally agree with that, because it goes all the way back to Delphi in Greece when it said over the archway to go in to see the oracle, know thyself And on the way coming out, it said, to thy own self be true. And if you don't find out what your destiny is, you have no hopes of doing either one of those. So this whole thing started becoming a pattern where I'd get up in the morning, and it went on. I think the last time was, trying to think, like 1993 or 4. And at that point, they told me, it's time for you to start bringing this message out to other people. And that freaked me out just about as much as the channeling did to start with, or maybe more. So it was in April of 1993, they said, give us your 3 greatest fears, and you have 1 year to let go of those fears and start channeling us. So one of it was speaking, publicly, and I tried the radio first, and then this is my first TV, so it's taken me quite a while since 91 to work up to totally doing this one. And the rebirthing, where you go into Bethanee, Leonard Orr's rebirthing, and channeling in front of people. So 2 weeks before, it was exactly on April the 11th in 1994 that I channeled for the first time, and I had waited till the very end of my little time. So at that point, we started channeling for other people, they started channeling for the public, they started bringing through all kinds of information. That is the mystery school teachings that you talk about, and that's what we do at Varshana. But not just that, because all that does is expand and nourish the mind. We actually work with all the individual chakras to clear them first of any past life debris, which we all come in with. That's that almost, I think, with the Catholic Church means it's when they say original sin. It's your karma that you come in with. And one day's led to another, one workshop's led to the other. We're doing 16-day workshops twice a year in Hawaii now, and we have an amazing core group of people, the finest people I've ever met in my life, that have stuck with us for about 20 years. So we don't teach the same thing over and over because we're all learning together. There's no time for teachers. We just have to have sharers now, and then let everybody do what they can with the information instead of waiting till you master it and try to teach someone else.
It's been a journey of new information, but also the magic of sound. As I was saying, the thing that allows her to go out was the vibrations that they build up for her to expand. Of course, we went on to that, tuning forks, crystal bowls, and then on to the symphonic and planetary gongs.
Vocal tone.
And as well as we do, that opens up an amazing opportunity for people to go traveling or past life type of things, or
it's a
miraculous
shortcut.
healing. Yeah, that's what the concept calls it, the best shortcut there is.
They call sound
The
healing
sound work, yes.
because there's no words and it's hard to misinterpret.
Your left brain doesn't know what to do with it, so the
Just
body hears it.
Hear your being.
Gets out of the way and allows the process. Because you're just basically energizing your molecular structure, and there's all kinds of things that are locked into that framework. And the Council has identified this global phenomenon that we're all experiencing of awakening as the 7th awakening for various reasons. When Lily mentioned about the knowing thyself is the most pivotal, that's what the vibration of the 7 brings. It activates that process of self-truth, so that you can it'll allow yourself to really get to the whole nugget of the essence that we are divine within, unlike the original sin concept that keep people locked down and needing someone else outside. We go direct, eliminate the middleman. That's what it is.
That's the opening of the crown chakra that we're experiencing. That's the great awakening, and it's there's been so much information that churches and other organizations have put out to try to keep us off the path of truth, and that is one of them. They talk about the 1,000-petal lotus. It's 999 petals. That's the power. 9 is a portal. It's finished, graduation and completion. So what they did is didn't let you graduate, which is the final opening. They made you start over again, because 1,001 is new beginnings and fresh starts. Every millennium's energy or age's energy has to begin with a 1. So there's been people that have known this, since Pythagoras, that have really used it to bind mankind, to take our power.
Predominant among those, people refer to them as the big lies, but one of them is the whole concept of Armageddon. A lot of people who really love and align with the masters, in particular Jesus, when they have a convoluted view that we have to go into some sort of mass destruction in order for Jesus to return, and then we'll have the 1,000 years of peace. And we just discussed this at length at the Rhoda Metaphysical Fair last 2 weeks ago. But the fact is, the psychological restrictions that places, it allows people to excuse so many of the negative things and the destructive things that are taking place. They somehow say, okay, well, this is meant to be, and we'll get to the other side. And no, we have to clear our whole framework, our whole belief system of things like that, because we're going to end up with the Thelma and Louise pedal to the metal going off the cliff. And, oh yeah, maybe we should have done something.
We're cutting off the branch we're sitting on.
There you go.
But, people on a whole don't like to think they can do anything, because then they would have to take the responsibility to actually do something. And as long as they think, oh, well, this can't be done, or this has never been done, or anything, that's their main excuse for claiming, what's that word? Complacency. And justifying their actions of never waking up, staying in the box. And, it's like, I don't think mankind can afford to do that right now. Everything's pushing us at the ceiling, and those of us that have been awake and awakening for a while will feel that ceiling, and everything will start to get kind of flat and mundane. And that's when you need to take another jump in consciousness. Because one thing I found, it's not just one, it's all these little steps, and each one of them allows you to anchor it more back to the earth. Like if any of it,
heaven and earth.
Exactly. I mean, that's the name of the game.
Right,
Yeah, it really is. And that's the divinity link, that we're custom made, that I did in that little I am thing, that the human system is specifically designed to be a link between spirit and matter. That's why we hold dominion over all other creatures of the earth. We have the consciousness that enables us to embrace something so magnificent as that. The other thing that holds people back that we've found that's gained popular traction lately, especially among young people, is this whole concept of YOLO, you only live once. And that is so, it's cute, but it's harmful to believe that you only go through once. A lot of people use that as a great excuse,
It's the height of ignorance.
Right.
Basically,
Yeah,
to just be black and white.
Right.
It harkens to that old phrase about he who has the most toys at the end wins.
Right.
And that's what's gotten us into a lot of the difficulties here.
No concept of future generations and what your legacy is going to leave. And never before at any time in the history have we been at such a crucial point in that, because we're finishing this huge age of limitations that swept down all the way through recorded history, and it was an exhale from the inhale when the planet was created. And now we're going into the next inhale, and that's why I think a lot of us are here, because we want to see the ante upped. We want to, see the world expanded.
The big payoff?
The big payoff.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's part of it. And all of us that are here to shift the world and have been here to shift the world, and life after life after life, we know that this is the time that we can finally do it. We've been waiting for it, and it starts in 2014.
That's a 7-year.
And we're there. We're there. The energy of 1 year starts on July the 1st, 6 months into the current year. And then every day, the new year gets more powerful. And this is probably the strongest time to start co-creating what you want to get next year. Because that's why we've gone through all these lives and all these suffering, is to get here where we can make a difference and we could take our power again. All the senses totally awake.
There are no limits
We're ready
now.
to go.
Yeah, the 7 is the awakening, the kickoff of it. And there's a lot of magic to the vibration of 7. It's always been known as a good fortune, or lucky in Vegas and things like that. And now, despite all of the things that have transpired, from chemtrails to designer disease to war and everything, we've still managed to come up to the level of 7 billion inhabitants, human, or man anyway, inhabitants. We're working towards the ultimate awakening that brings us to the humanity. But 7 billion, people like Bucky Fuller, he wasn't an alarmist about overpopulation. And he lays it all out for people who have studied his work, that he lays out how this world can easily support that. But if you know the work of people like Deepak Chopra, and they talk about certain numbers, like a 7 billion, when you have this a cohesive intention, it will come together as a cellular structure to create an organ or other vital parts of our bodies, and at the same way, we are in a position to launch into a new reality that's not hampered by the old limitations.
Yeah, we'll get into that the second section. Why don't you introduce the second video, the globe?
The globe one?
with the bowl
The soundtrack is called Light Phase 1.1, and it's consisting of vocal tones, quartz crystal bowls, a little Tibetan bell, something we've done long ago that it takes you into instant meditation as far as I'm concerned, and I hear by so many people. But that's played with a quartz sphere, Brazilian quartz sphere, and it's on a unit known as the Lumitron. Our friend
Light
Kirby.
Lambert.
Oh, that was it, light lambert. They used to call that different, yes. But that's essentially what it is.
right,
It goes through
so-
its own color changes.
So yeah, enjoy this video. It's incredible. You'll love it, and we'll be back with Lilyana and Nohlan, another art piece. Enjoy. Hi everybody, so that was a powerful video as well. So we're going to have Lilyana do a channeling in a minute, but now I just want to say that this beautiful piece of art you're seeing in between us all is an amazing piece, all new original piece. A lot of thought, a lot of energy, a lot of love went into this. Cameron Childs, who's 15 years old and a member of the crew here. It's called Flora, Clay, and Mixed Media. He's done 3 pieces altogether. Check it out. Cameron Childs. So now we're going to go to Lilyana doing a channeling.
Greetings. So this is an entirely new experience for us, and we appreciate you being at this first birth. Talking in different avenues of communications. One thing that is different between doing a vibrational frequency message, which is how we choose the words and the intensity in which we pronounce the words, has much to do with shaking you out of your boxes and getting you to see that there is a vast world of potential that mankind just now has the ability to tap into. And whether you do it in this life or you wait and you do it in the next life, because next life there will be, do not fool yourselves. You cannot hope to master the realms of limitlessness in one meager lifetime. But if you can start now by opening, by giving permission not to have to know the answers to everything right now, not having to know and define who you are, because if you can stop your mind from having to have the need for control, then you can shift faster and awake more than any other time that mankind has been on this planet, because you're leaving limitations and you're going into limitlessness. And the crown chakra of mankind is opening, which means the birth and union of the spiritual body to the mental body. All the answers being provided for all of the questions. And 1994 was a very powerful year. We would invite everyone that hears this channeling to go back to that year and discover what was your high point of the year. It is linked to 2014, which is why you had winter solstice of 2012. And the 2012 story is not over. It did not begin with 2012, and it did not end with 2012. In fact, it began in 2011 on winter solstice, in the first year of limitlessness in the new Aquarian millennium and age. What those two marked, limitlessness, that was the year in 2011 that you reviewed this lifetime. You gave yourself a State of the Union address as to where you were physically, emotionally, and mentally. And then last year, 2012, marked the end of time vibrating to the frequency of limitations. A new time-space millennium, going 180 degrees from where you have been going. And if you were looking at opening yourself, when you go clockwise, you actually tighten yourself down. You have to go in the opposite direction, which is counterclockwise, to open yourself up and get out of the box. And counter, it is a very interesting term, because it means that it is counter to what is accepted as the norm or what is promoted as the desirable. Everybody having the same thing and being like everyone else, when each of you are born to be unique. You have your own gifts, you have your own abilities, and you chose this life at the most pivotal time for humanity to come in and shed all those limitations that you accepted in the last recorded history. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't have agreed to do that, else you would not have been needed. But you are needed now. And in this first year of limitlessness, as this starts to birth and change humanity and every species upon the planet, you have your vote that counts. Not in your reality, they have rigged that, but you have it internally with every thought, word, and action. And you are being called to action. You are being called to be mindful, to always respond and never react. React, you go into lower emotions that immediately poison the situation. In response, you lift up to the higher emotions. And that is when you can embrace love and compassion and kindness and generosity. All those things that the last spiritual family on the planet, the root race before you, laid down. Prosperity and abundance was to them a dirty word. Because in a time of limitations, to get prosperity and abundance, you usually had to do something that was not considered in integrity. But now in limitlessness, you are meant to be successful because you are meant to be of service to share it. Not into exclusion of your own happiness. But if you can open up to get what you want instead of just what you need, then you can share that, and that generosity can wake up the trust that mankind has lost in their fellow man. No matter how active you desire to be in this great new play that is beginning, this is the time to decide and go for it. Save nothing for a rainy day. Give everything you have and everything you are for the first time in your lives in 2014. And we guarantee you without question, by the time you get to winter solstice of 2015, radiant health, an open and giving heart, and peace of mind will be what you have earned for this, and an abundance of everything that creates love and light for this world. So yes, we're asking you to give everything you have to give. So many times you do not do that, because then you have the excuse to say, well, it wouldn't have been a failure if I'd just given a little bit more time, or if I'd just been a little bit creative. So you hold yourself back so you can be honest about that. But if you go out like it matters, which it does, the whole history for the rest of mankind for 2 million years is what the stakes are that you're playing with. And you were chosen to be the patterns, to be the cookie cutters, the prime seeds, to come in and do something. And we are sending all our love and blessings from an entire council of ascended masters and angels and Elohim that have championed your cause and have been there every chance you gave us. And remember, you have free will. So if you want help doing something, then just give everyone permission to do it. But ask, define it so that you feel safe, that it is done at the highest level, the very highest level, your highest good, but also your greatest joy. Because this life was meant to be loved, it was meant to be enjoyed, it was meant to be lived and thrived in. And only you that are in physical embodiment can make this happen now. So there are an immense amount of beings that are there to support you in any way. And next year is the year that your power has been set to be delivered. And it is only now, this last little prep time, that you have to clear out all the baggage, all the darkness, all the limitations, all the pessimism, everything that has kept you in a box and validated that you should be in the box. If you let those go, that box will not be empty. It will be able to be filled with everything that you deserve and everything that you came to give. And that will be limitless. That is when immortality starts kicking in, and you go back to the age times of Noah. Mankind's life has become short to nothing since it began. And it is time now for it to expand out. So you have longer and longer with the same consciousness to accomplish your missions and destinies. Because this is just beginning. There is a limitless amount of jobs available. Everybody is meant to do something. And that old adage that a spiritual person earns their money wisely with integrity can now be manifested. Think of every limitation you have and ask yourself if it's willing to keep it. Because limitations will lead you to decay, disease, and death. But limitlessness, there's no reason you can't shift that. Because shifted it will be. This is the millennium of transformation. So a blessing to each and every one of you that hears this and each and every one of you that is here. We would invite you to connect with us if you heard the message in our words, to come to Varshana, to walk and talk with us, to allow us to help you cleanse your chakras, get rid of your karma and your baggage, and be born again in the image that your soul gave you this life to be an example of. It's not for the squeamish, because you have to take full responsibility and you have to develop spiritual discipline. but it is well worth the path that it will take you on. Namaste.
Nohlan, over time you've heard many, many of these channelings.
Several
I mean,
decades.
How is your experience? Has it changed? I mean, like, you just sitting here, what did you feel going through it? You know, listening and feeling the vibration of it.
Well, I think it encapsulated quite well the message that we all need to hear. The fact that these are the times we're at a critical crossroads, and simply by the application of limitless beliefs and through all of our words, thoughts, and deeds, we can truly be the co-creators. I mean, this is essentially the first time. We often say that the times of limitation, that nothing was able to be the very best it could be. But then again, the safety factor was it could never be just as bad as it could have been. But now the governors are being released from within and from without. Revelations are happening, I mean, in the sense of things being revealed. We don't follow the path of the biblical revelations. That was all the scare tactics to keep the limitations alive. But right now, this is our opportunity for the awakening to occur with ease and grace. And the council just invariably has the nuggets to offer each time. And, I think it was quite rewarding myself.
And we use the expression, whatever you think you are, you're more.
Yes, precisely, yes.
So I should talk to that a little bit.
Oh, we can't conceive about what we can be, to be truly co-creators. I mean, to truly embrace the essence of divinity within us. I mean, it's a rewrite of the entire game. There are no longer any barriers to whatever you want this world to be. And so the council tells us, you know, everything that you've tried before and become convinced that that stuff never works and you become disillusioned, these are the times to try it again.
If it feels right to you in this moment, then if you can get to a place of almost neutrality with it, and what feels right is the next step. We've talked a lot about you know, being in the moment, and you know, letting that next step. You know, how would love and motion do it?
I'm just sitting here in a state of it.
Right. So why do we need to talk about? You know, it's funny. We talk a lot about. You know, we talk about the vibration and the energy, and you know, at some point, what do the words mean? And yet, this is a talk show, so it's kind of like, you know, in the nature of things like that.
We just watched the Celestine Prophecy again last night. We were doing a workshop and we brought it for the group, and we were all talking about how we got so much more out of it this time than we did the first time. Do you remember how revolutionary that was? And it was on the Times bestseller list for years, and that it's a real good example of preparation, because it took him by surprise. And so he had nothing set up to go to the next book or do the movie right at the same time. And it's been a real good example that if you want something like that, you can't put it off and expect it just to come to you. You have to take little steps, even if it's just baby steps, to let the universe know where your attention lies. That and the alchemical thing about every time you put out a negative thought, like this isn't going to work, or this is going to be complicated, or I'm going to be late, what you do is you serve that. You help create that to come into your life, because we manifest everything that we need to learn from. So if you can catch yourselves doing that and cancel it out with a positive thought, that's good, but it's not enough. You have to come up with another positive thought, and if that positive thought that's above that can be outrageous, it starts to break these little ruts that we're in and these little patterns of automatic response to
Yeah, we're
things.
habitual and like a machine. I mean, Gurdjieff
Yes.
used to talk about that.
Yeah.
So
You know, you
for
put
one.
the quarter in, or now 4 quarters or 8 quarters, and the Coke comes out. And how do we live in the moment? I mean,
Well,
where
that's why-
spontaneity is and life is.
That's where we're at. And that's why it's Varashana, because it's in one of the only open pituitary chakras in the world. And the pituitary is one of the 7 new advanced chakras that are starting to open in mankind, that is going to allow us to become, like Nohlan said, human, which is God, the God essence being more empowered than the beast essence.
Divinely realized.
And the
human.
pituitary, its gift is it's the ability to be in the present moment. So when you're in that present moment, that's when you're fully empowered through your free will to create the future
All right,
with
let's-
intention.
Fully empowered. If you want any information about Lilyana, the Mystery School, Nohlan, the Art Project, call me, Alan, 805-687-2053. It's an amazing time. Let's do it together. Good night. We love you.